All right, guys, welcome to this today's podcast. Today, I've got a very special audience all the way from Singapore. We have Mr. Jack Wong. Jack, do you want to say hello to my audience?
Well, first of all, thank you, Desmond, for inviting me on this show. I had no idea why I'm invited. I may have something to share, so it depends on what you guys want me to talk about. I'm happy to share my insight and experience with you. Thank you.
So Jack, for me, he's like a treasury of information and knowledge in his brain. He's got many years of experience in terms of different professionals. He's a trainer. He has a lot of tax experience and accounting experiences. He knows a lot in different even personality. So we're gonna dig a little bit deeper and talk a little bit about different kind of areas. So we're not gonna bore you with just how to save tax or how to, do your books and stuff like that. So we're gonna focus on making it a little bit more conversational, because today is a very interesting time. Like Malaysia right now, we are in, well, the government doesn't call it a lockdown, but truly it is a lockdown, right? We call it a movement control order, which is a really long name, but let's just call it a lockdown, where we're not allowed to go out. Business premises are supposed to close, except if you run essential services like banks or grocery stores. But in Singapore, I don't know, but Jack, I've been seeing people are still in shopping malls, walking around. What's going on in Singapore?
Well, the truth is that I feel sorry for the Malaysians. Your MCO is still in play. I feel for it. Like I stopped going up to Kuala Lumpur because I used to have a lot of activities in Kuala Lumpur. Now I have to make it a pause. So in Singapore, what happened is that now I'm only sharing things that are publicly announced, because the government says that we are not allowed to share anything that is like rumor. So what happened is that I just came back from lunch. I usually can still go out for lunch, dinner, breakfast. The only thing that is that's happening right now is in Singapore, the eateries. For example, we are not like, imagine a table of 4. We have those crosses like on the chair, on the table. That means that we are not allowed to sit on those chairs that has a cross, because if we do that, there will be a $300 fine. And therefore, people are basically practicing social distancing. Like in supermarket, there's some interesting masking tape lying up on the floor, telling people that when you queue, make sure that you are 1 meter behind the person in front of you.
That's really interesting, though.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, because if you look at it, like when this whole COVID-19 situation was announced, I mean, of course, Wuhan, China was the first one that got it, and then various different countries got it, and Singapore was one of the earlier countries to get it with the cases. But now it just seems like, well, from the pictures and from the Instagram stories that people are filming on their phone, it seems like it's back to normal, except, yes, with those tapes around in the elevator, in the train, in the restaurants. But it seems like it's back to normal. Like, this is, for me, I'm so impressed with Singapore because of this. I always believe that Singapore is one of the most underrated country in the world, because if you look at America right now, like I love America to death, but they have so much time to prepare.
Yep.
They got so much time to prepare. I mean, they knew about this, like they got like literally a 1 month head start, but look at what's going on right today. I think they just announced over close to 4,000 deaths already in the US. It is crazy. So I really think the Singapore government is really efficient. Now, I know you moved to Singapore a while ago, so you want to talk a little bit about what's it like living in Singapore, give the audience a little bit of the details, what's going on right now in Singapore, like what's the lifestyle, any changes?
Okay, so number one, although we are still able to move around, most people have adopted working from home and styles. And in fact, yesterday, the government announced that the employers, when it is possible to allow the employees to work from home, practice 100% telecommuting, unless the industry or the business doesn't allow them to do that. Otherwise, it becomes a fine or penalty imposed. So I expect in the month of April, there will be more and more people working from home. That's the key thing. I do have a lot of people telling me that they are not used to working from home, partly because most people work in office in Singapore. That's lifestyle adjustment. Supermarket, of course, is another very interesting thing. Like, there's no way you can go to supermarket during lunchtime because the queue is like 10 meters, 20 meters long. So we have to be strategically selecting a particular time slot, go to supermarket to just get the grocery. And now it's about rationing. In other words, like, you are not allowed to buy more than $30 of meat, $20 of vegetable, how many rolls of how many rolls of toilet paper, all these are rationed. This is something that is going back to the World War I time, which I wasn't born yet. Is this happening in Singapore right now?
Wow. So are the Singaporeans, are they complying to the rules, the laws being set for this?
To a large extent, because Singaporeans are very well trained in complying with the law. So I
Right.
don't see a lot of like the naughty boys or girls who try to break the law.
Right.
It doesn't happen a lot in Singapore. Very,
Mm,
very rare. Because people
mm.
here tend to be compliant, actually.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So because like right here, what's going on is a lot of business premises are forced to close. Like you cannot open. Literally, they have authorities that will go into shopping malls, that will go into offices and ensure that no one is working in business premises at all. And the worst thing that's happening is a lot of businesses that cannot adapt. Naturally speaking, not all businesses can adapt to the internet, right? But
Mm,
businesses that cannot adapt, they are suffering. Malaysia Airline a couple of weeks ago, they just announced 13,000 people will go on unpaid leave. And many more small businesses are going on unpaid leave because they're not getting a lot of help from the government. So
mm,
I want to talk a little bit about that because I have a lot of SME friends who are suffering
mm.
right now, right?
Okay.
What do you think they can do in terms of saving their business, maybe prolonging their business, or maybe make sure that they don't have to cut people off their company or fire people or lay off people unnecessarily?
When it comes to the bad time, always number one issue is the payroll, cash
Mm-hmm.
flow, and of course the retrenchment. As a boss, of course, you don't want to just anyhow fire the employee because these employees have done something great during a good time. I see that most SME basically are facing the cash flow problem. And as a result, it's not about at this time tightening the cash flow and do not spend anything. Uh, I'm still very aggressively promote. Like I would still say that being aggressive, like not too aggressive, like bragging or what, but actually is to continue promoting marketing because you still want to get customers coming in. Another very good strategy is not my idea; it's actually my teacher's ideas. If you haven't had a chance to talk to your previous premium clients or some value clients, it is a good time just to give them a call or connect with them. And all you need to do is just to say, how is things going? And that's it. You don't say anything else. You just say, how is things going? Because no one actually does that nowadays because they're focused on themselves. But when you still maintain the relationship, sometimes later, what happens is that these people might remember you. So I will
Mm-hmm.
still be value marketing and I will not stop. This is the first thing. Second thing, of course, we should ask ourselves whether in that particular business, we can leverage on technology. And if possible, then we will have to open our heart and mind to tap to this world of technology because the world order has already been reset. No matter whether COVID-19 is going to be over soon or not, the world order has been reset. So the traditional way of doing businesses may no longer come back. So why not go ahead and embrace the new changes right now and explore
Right.
ideas?
So I'm interested now that you talk about a world order. I want to go a little bit deeper on that because
Sure.
I'm sure you are a big researcher and you also look at the economic numbers a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that right now we are not just facing the coronavirus pandemic. Actually, it's a lot more than that. There is also the oil war, the oil price war with Saudi Arabia and Russia, and then we
Mm-hmm.
have the trade war with China and the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things going on. And in Malaysia, we also have the political turmoil that's happening where people are not really supporting the backdoor government. So there's a lot of things going on. So I want you to maybe, assuming that you have a crystal ball, right? Let's talk forecast. Let's talk assuming that you can see what's going on in the next 3 to 6 months. How do you think the world will be maybe 3 to 6 months from now?
So starting from the brick and mortar businesses, those F&B traditional type, which they can't really need to, they cannot really leverage on technology. Some of these industries may disappear.
Mm,
Uh, I do know that manufacturing companies suffer a lot because there's no order coming in, so they might have a hard time. Airline industries, I don't know how bad it will be. Like it's already very bad. Perhaps in the next 3 6 months, we may hear some airlines to go bust. I'm worried about Cathay Pacific too, because Cathay Pacific right now, 96% of the flights have actually stopped. That is
wow.
very horrible for Cathay Pacific, which is one of the largest airlines in the world. And then I will also see, for example, in our industry, the training industry,
Mm-hmm.
live events will disappear. not to say that it's completely disappeared. Like if a business that is, if a event organizer that is relying on live events to survive, they will suffer in the next 3-6 months, and they may not even survive because the world has changed completely. In terms of professional like the accounting, the tax, legal work, they will still be there because this is a recession-proof business. Whether it's bad time, good times, they will still need accountants, lawyers, and other professionals. So you just like continue status quo for professionals, but they do need to be a bit nimble because the clients may not be able to pay them as before. So what else can they do? So again, you have to think about the creative side of the business. Yeah.
I think like for the airlines, my personal belief is that they're so important to a country's economy. I think the government will bail them out no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think what's going to happen is that, because if you think about it, the US announced a $2 trillion stimulus package, and other countries are doing hundreds of billions here and there. And the common thing that's going to happen is that they're all going to be printing a lot more money, and they're going to be, and inflation is going to happen, right? And what's going to happen is that the money that you have in a bank account that's sitting around that you put in the savings account are going to automatically devalue every second you don't use it and every second you don't invest it. So what would be some ideas for what people can do if they have, let's say, $20, $30, $40,000 sitting around? They don't want it to be devalued because of the inflation. What do you think they can do with the money? Should they start a business? Should they put it into stocks? Should I buy gold, Bitcoin?
Well, it's very hard to say what should buy, what should not buy, because it is up to individual preferences. So as far as I'm concerned, if a person doesn't have any investment experience, it's always the time, not the good time, bad time, but it's always the time to learn, to acquire the skill set, to learn how to invest the money. Is because it's no point to put in the bank, because bank doesn't give you any interest at all. HSBC just announced that they stopped giving dividend to the shareholders in the last quarter, and share prices dropped to 40 Hong Kong dollars today. It's very terrible. So investing may not actually secure any return. Buying properties, like right now, if you don't have cash, it's very hard to buy property without any leverage. If you talk about buying Bitcoin, I'm not a Bitcoin fan, so I always have no comments about it. Like Bitcoins at one time, it went up so hard to $19,000. Right now it's about 5,000 plus. So if you want to buy at 19,000, or you want to buy it at 5,000, which is high, which is low, again, it's also uncertainty. So at this time, the best thing I would say is to still ask yourself the question. So I go back to the drawing board. Like students come to me and ask, like, what should I do right now? I will ask, like, at this point in time, do you have a job? If you have a job, then is this job going to be sustainable? And then ask yourself, what if one fine day you don't have this job? What else can you do? And what other skills do you need to have? Okay, if you don't have any existing skill sets, for example, sales, businesses, investment, copywriting, like this, where we do copywriting, training, consulting. So ask yourself, what skills do you need in fighting with this crisis time? Because it's not about starting a business only, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the skill set of selling, persuasion, negotiation, your business won't last long. So therefore, I come from a space of like knowing what the skill sets we have and what other skill sets that we need first. That is actually the best thing. Like the saying goes from all my teacher, is not investing in anything else, but investing in us first. That's really, really important, because that is the most valuable asset, which is us.
Right. So a lot of people right now, what they're trying to do is that they are literally, since a lot of people have nothing to do, they're quarantined or locked down at home. One of the best way for most people to actually learn new information is actually just going online and just investing in courses, just investing in e-learning, because I think the world is going to change in a way that nowadays a lot more people are learning online. Like some people are even choosing not to go to college and use their funds to actually invest in courses, to invest in mentors, to invest in digital courses. So I want to talk a little bit about you being a trainer. I'm a trainer as well. We are all doing the same thing. We're pivoting to the internet market. I've been doing webinars for so long now, and I started redoing webinars again. And let's talk about webinars, because you pivot to doing webinars recently after these COVID-19 started to become a little bit more of an issue for a lot of business premises here in Southeast Asia region. So let's
Yep.
talk about that, because I heard that you did 1,000 people, was it, in an event, or maybe more? You want to
So
talk about how you do that?
I'm part of the community on the sales training side. It's a global community which I'm part of it. So what happened was that we have, up to this point at the time of this interview, we have 3,118 people registered. So we do have a target in 2 more weeks' time, 10,000 people to register. So what we do is that we offer a 4-week masterclass to help people understand the sales, understand how the emotional intelligence, personality intelligence, spiritual intelligence, all this stuff that can touch people's in different aspects. So what happened was that we just had a class number 1 on last Friday. The Zoom that we have gotten has a maximum capacity of 500. So the question is that the moment 8 o'clock starts, the room max out, 500, nobody else can go in. So how can we have 1,018 people in the room? So that's why we have leveraged the technology. So the secret of that was we have created a Facebook group. So we do a Zoom directly to the Facebook group, and we send people who cannot go to the Zoom to the Facebook group so they can watch the live streaming and participate at the same time. So the interesting thing is that we can see the chats in the Zoom and the chats on Facebook Live all running concurrently. So this is a very interesting thing that we discovered.
Is this something new that you guys have been doing, or is this something that you guys have always been doing?
No, this is something that we explore, because I've never seen 500 people max out in the room. Like my Zoom room, for example, I can only have 100 people. So the question is that when we have more than people, the supply is way below the demand. We need to fulfill the demand, the registration of people. How do we fulfill this? So that was a last minute decision from the global team, set up a Facebook group, Zoom it there, and therefore we have more than 500 people that can watch the live session at the same time.
So what do you think about people attending? Because I know you do live events where people go to like physical events. Right now you're doing online. So you want to talk a little bit about what are the differences, so that maybe the trainers that are listening to this, they get a little bit of an idea what they can do, or maybe people that are doing online for a long time, they can also get a little bit of idea what is the benefit or pros and cons of doing offline as well. So maybe share a little bit, what is your opinion, online versus offline way of presenting information? What about the attendees interactions? Things like that.
There are actually multiple angles to tackle this question. So I start from a very superficial level first. Like people start talking about going to do online courses. Like they have been doing live trainings, and now suddenly say, maybe I should actually turn my live courses into online. So the question I have is that, okay, now we are talking to 2 groups of people. The first group are people who are already running live events like you successfully and doing very great. So doing this online becomes just a leverage of the platform. So there's no problem with this group to leverage the technology. But there's another group of people who are already struggling filling the rooms in the live events. You cannot just turn it into online, hoping that people will come to your room. So the marketing, the promotion part remains. We still have to fix that issue before we can turn this online business a success. So there's the first level of issue. Now let's come to the second level, which is these people like you and I who are already running live events successfully. How do we leverage the online technology? So of course, in the market, there are many ways to run online courses. Like you can Udemy, you can have Kajabi, or this. But what I found out interestingly is that to leverage Zoom, like the one that we are using right now, that we can actually run a live events virtually. So I make a very interesting distinction between virtual events and live events virtually. So let me explain what are the differences here. My definition of virtual event is just to run an online program, showing the PowerPoint slides, going through the information one slide after another slide.
So that's like a webinar, yeah?
Yeah, so the outcome is that people just consume the information, but you have no idea whether they learn anything and whether they're able to apply. So that's why I make a distinction from a virtual event to a live event virtually, which means that I'm still running live. We still have participation, we still have interaction, engagement. It's business as usual. The only thing that is missing is because we are running virtually, there's no literally physical connection. So I can ask people to high five at the camera, but there's still no physical touch. So it's only that part that's missing. Other than this, we can still run live events using, like for example, using Zoom, because Zoom has a very fantastic feature called the breakout rooms. And the breakout rooms allow us to do some group shares, individual assignments, and we can actually bring the learning to the next level. It's just like the live events. We can actually do that. And this is something that we found. The feedback that we have gotten, for example, last week, we did a 4-day virtual event, and participants' engagement was way much better than the live events. Yesterday, I did one live events virtually with Singapore accounting professionals, and the engagement was much better than live events, surprisingly.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that people are just shy because they are, maybe do you think that you're talking to
don't know,
introverts
because, okay, so interestingly, this is just still my preliminary finding. I don't know the exact reason. Probably because like these 2 events that I was involved, there were quite a lot of Malaysians who are locked down. They have basically, yesterday was actually a Singapore event. So maybe I'll talk about the 4-day. The 4-day, most people are from Malaysia. They were locked down. So they have nothing else to do. So that's the reason why when we ask them to be engaged and interact, the interaction level is high.
They got this pent up energy that if you really
correct. And then yesterday, what happened was that it's a small corporate event. So we have got 10 participants. And 9, I actually asked them, like they actually hang out, 9 of them hang out from home. So that's the same thing. When they're home, they have nothing else to do, might as well participate. If the trainer is doing a good job to engage them, that might be the reason why I give and I can receive quite a lot of interesting response. Like yesterday, what happened was that I asked them to do sharing of, for example, the question I asked is that share with me one interesting thing about yourself as some of the icebreaker. Surprisingly, they actually type a few lines on the chat. I was shocked. I was just waiting for the reply. I don't think anything will come out as usual, but you know what? One person replied, the rest just chum, 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 chum. And then I asked them, okay, comment 1, comment 2, very diligently comment 1, comment 2, just follow me. Yeah, so that is why I said it is a mindset shift. Like it's very hard for me to say this until I've done it. Now I have done it not once, not twice, a few times. And I realized that this is definitely possible. It's just a question of whether the trainer is willing to open their mind and be creative.
Right. So a lot of virtual events or webinars, they are about an hour to 2 hours long. And I'm assuming since you're doing training, that's going to be a lot longer, right?
Yep. Mine is 4 days, 9 o'clock to 7.
Wow.
Yesterday was 9 o'clock
to 7.
Yeah. And yesterday was 9 a.m. to 5.
Wow.
That's why it's called live events virtually.
So how do people react to such long hours online? Like they're just staring at a computer
the
screen
feedback
the whole
was, okay, good question. The feedback was, I couldn't believe I can sit still for such a whole freaking day.
Wow.
There's a very general comment because they couldn't believe it. Because the mindset is that webinar is just 1 hour or maximum 2 hours. No, this is a live event. That's why I keep using the word live events. If your mindset sets in a way that it is a webinar, then you condition yourself to sit for 1 to 2 hours. But when I say it's a live event, you have to participate throughout, then basically it's no different. The only adjustment I made yesterday is in the live events, I have 1 lunch, 1 morning break, 1 afternoon break. So I follow what Marshall Turber, our teacher, said. Every 55 minutes, I'll go for 1 10-minute break. So I followed that very diligently. Okay. So yesterday I have multiple breaks. Correct. Have multiple breaks. So that is a little adjustment in terms of the.
I think the lesson here is for most trainers who are listening to this, speakers, consultants, corporate trainers, I think they should not be afraid to go online, embrace online. From what I know, like in America, because the country is so big, sometimes they will do corporate training virtually through virtual conferences. And it's very common, and they've been doing it for many, many years. So this doesn't change anything. And in fact, I think it gives people a greater opportunity because some of them, like maybe parents, they don't want to deal with their young kids. They find an excuse. Oh, I'm attending a 9 to 5 class. That means my wife, please take care of the kid 9 to 5. I'm going to be attending this class. I need full focus. It gives them an excuse to get away from, because I think parents especially, they need a break from their kids, not 24/7 facing the kids, because they need to have this professionalism to be able to, produce for the family. So This is great. I just want to ask you a few other questions, like maybe what other things do you think like businesses can do during these times, right? And we're specifically talking about, let's say, consultants, trainers. Now, I know one of the idea is that we can do events virtually like this. What else do you think they can use the time right now? Let's say they are in lockdown or quarantine. What else do you think they can do right now to maybe boost their business, get more clients?
Okay, so this is what I am doing right now also. That is, we were so busy during the good time to running events. And this is a very good time to actually create what I call these digital assets. So what happened is that I'm actually creating like regularly digital assets. I'm not like promoting them now. I just build up the digital assets so that when it is time to launch them, I have the assets ready. So this is from a marketing side. Okay, digital assets building is a very...
Can you define what's a digital asset for the
So for example, your podcast show, like what you're doing, creating podcast show, videos, for example, videos, and live videos, training videos, just videos, for example, just like, I would just say just videos. That's what I'm doing. I'm building a lot of videos for topic on speakings and training. So I build a lot. And that's the first thing. The second thing is that, well, now is a very good time to run Facebook Live. Like consultants, expert, trainers, like literally my Facebook is flooded with all the Facebook Live every now and then. So there's no problem for us to actually go out and do 1 hour share. Like I usually would do 1.5 hours every Sunday. And because I don't like to do it every day. So my time is Sunday, that 9 o'clock to 10:30, I'll just run 1.5 hours. Then people just tune in and listen to me. And this is the second thing. The third thing is, other than building digital assets, this is just to echo what Gary Vaynerchuk said. It's about content creation. You cannot stop creating content. You have to keep on doing this, because at the end of the day, what Gary said is a long-term game. Your personal branding is a long-term plan. So it's a long-term game. So you still have to continue building your brand by creating contents. So these are all the things that I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So one of the things I highly recommend most people to do is, like you have a book, I have a book. This is the best time to bunker down and just write a book. Now, a lot of people don't know what's the purpose of a book. I think it's great for personal branding. I think it's great for like lead generation. I think it's great for coupling it as a bonus. I think there's a lot of benefit. You can just write a book. If on a daily basis you say, I'm too busy to write a book, well, now you have a lot more time to write a book. Yeah, I've been telling people to do that. And even if you can't write a book, you can create a video course, right? And then if you do not know how to sell it, just upload it onto Udemy. If it sells, it sells. If not, at least you've got some video courses that in the future you could potentially give away as a bonus for something else, for other reasons. I think this is the best time to do it. But the problem that I get in terms of most people messaging me on Instagram, on Facebook is that, Desmond, it's easy to say that, but how do I remain productive at home? What would your advice be?
Okay, so I share with your audiences this story. Like, you know me for a while. You never heard me talking about going to gym. Right? I'm not a gym person, as you know. Yeah. So when I moved to this particular condo in late January, so the condo has a gym. So in the month of Feb and March, before I continue, I need to make a caveat because my condo just have a COVID-19 case. So the gym, unfortunately, is closed till end of this month. So I didn't have that chance to do it now. But in the month of Feb and March, what happened was that I was able to go to the gym 30 minutes every single day, except for 2 days I couldn't do it because of training. So at my age, 30 minutes a day, daily, what is your excuse? Now, this is how I tell people, like, you're younger than me, you say you go to gym only for 3 days, 3 times a week. I do 7 days. What stop you? So the secret of that is, number one, make it consistent. Like whatever we do in life, we make it consistent. Then after 3 weeks going to gym, it becomes part of my life, and I feel absolutely miserable if I didn't go to gym that day. So that is how the effect of consistency give me that feeling that I have to go. Like one day I actually went to do a preview. I came back home at 6 p.m. I missed the gym time. And eventually, I didn't go for dinner. I just rushed to the gym and do my 30 minutes. I feel so good that I have my dinner. So that is that kind of feeling that I have when you can build up your consistency. So how does it work? Like how does this consistency principle work? Block your time. So my
Right.
time for gym is 5 to 6 p.m. every single day, Monday to Friday, and 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Saturday, Sunday. I just
So you have
block
like
it.
a timetable, yeah?
Correct. So once you have the time block, this is the time you have to do this. Like if I know that day I have a preview, so I cannot do it at 5 and 6. So I'll probably shift the time up in the morning or down
Right.
at night to make sure that I can fulfill the requirement of that day. So just make use of the timetable and block it, and then you can do the things that you are supposed to do.
I'll share a tip.
My best
I'm a very
example.
lazy person. I like the fact that you say consistent, but for me, I use the word routine and habits. And I train myself to be an employee of my calendar. And what I mean by employee of the calendar is that my life revolves around the calendar. Like every single day, at night, I'll plan the next day. I'll fill it up. And then the next day, what I do is I'll follow the calendar. Even if something urgent comes out, unless it's super priority, I would ignore it and I'll put it in the next day calendar. And on my calendar, well, before the MCO, before the lockdown, every morning, 7 till 8 o'clock, it's my gym time. And I remember there was one time where I skipped gym. And because I wouldn't say accidentally, but I hit the snooze button. And what happened was I skipped gym, and the entire day I felt so crap. And it's not an energy thing. It's not like a body thing. It's more like a mental thing. Like I feel like something is missing, and I felt so terrible.
Exactly.
I felt so guilty, and I told myself that if I have it on calendar, I'm not gonna skip it again. I'm not gonna like postpone the calendar. I'm not gonna postpone anything that I put on the calendar. Another tip that I want to give for most people that are working from home is definitely have a space for home office, like a table for home office. I don't know if it's gonna be a dining table. I don't know if it's gonna be like, I feel like you can eat on your couch. I feel like you can eat anywhere on the kitchen, what they call the marble table, whatever it is. But I think for most people that are working from home, you gotta need an office desk. It's super important right now because you need the environment. Like for me, I still dress and I still make my hair. I still shower. I still I wake up in a way that I still feel like I'm going to work. But it's just that I don't travel to the office. I don't go to the office. I don't go anywhere. And I keep that habit going on, right? And I think that's really, really important. And I think you need to let your family members know what time till what time you're working so that they don't bother you. And you need to create some sort of rules, right? And it could be a rule that you have in your household so that people can respect the rules, so that you get things done. Because I know so many people I'm seeing on social media right now, people are just wasting their time away. Like they are posting, oh, just finished watching like 7 movies today on Netflix, right? And I'm like, I mean, if you watch one, I get it, but if you watch 7 in a day, the hours that you wasted, you could be creating a video course that you could be putting up online, and then maybe generating some passive income or residual income through Udemy or through any of those platforms out there. I just don't get that. So, what advice do you have for people that they're aimless or they don't have direction right now? Maybe they want to start a business, but they don't know where to start, right? They're just sitting at home. They're maybe on unpaid leave, or maybe they're on paid leave, or maybe they're just waiting for things to happen. What advice would you give to these people that just, the Netflix watcher, the Netflix, what do you call it? The marathon Netflix guy.
Okay, so marathon Netflix guy. So first of all, in the coaching world, we say that until the person feels absolutely painful, they are in pains, but they are not painful enough, they will not move. So if they start feeling from pain to painful, then it's good time to actually find somebody to talk to. Like if they don't know what they don't know, they are not able to solve the problem. Like check out of Desmond, for example, talk to Desmond. And get some ideas like that may inspire and motivate you to make a move to do something differently rather than just continue watching Netflix, because it's not going to help you in your business. And then start connecting with other people. Like in the past, again, we may not have the time to do it, but now go out and talk to people, not physically, of course, but go virtually and give a call, find somebody to talk to and see what ideas come up. Like this brainstorming, for example, like Desmond and I are doing this brainstorming here, like we get ideas from each other. So this is what we call connection and ideas, that ideas can pop up. Like you don't need a lot of ideas actually, you just need a few, maybe just one. So one idea can actually change your life. Why not talk to other people? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree on this. Literally, I just posted a video telling people, especially entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, I think right now is the best time to go out there and create a virtual online mastermind. And what I mean by that is, let's say you want to be a coach, okay? Go and find 4 to 5 other coaches, create a daily accountability Zoom meeting every single morning, every single evening, whatever you prefer, and just share one new finding. Just share one new finding and share one new challenge, and then see how we all can fix the problem together. And you'll be surprised, because I always believe that times like this, if you unite and if you work together, you get a lot. You get better, faster, because on good times, normal times, it's impossible to unite people. Let me tell you, Jack, one of the business that I have is we do consultancy. We work with business owners, right? We try to help them in terms of turnaround and growth. And I'll tell you this, during good times, it's impossible to get them on the phone for more than 30 minutes. It's impossible. They're too busy in the shop. They're too busy in the store. They're too busy in the office, right? They had to do this, they had to do that, they're overseas. Now, they are just literally a phone call away, and they just can't stop talking now, because it's so easy to like connect with them. And I'm telling a lot of my private clients, do something that I call #do your part. And what I mean by do your part is, if you have knowledge like yourself, you have tax knowledge, you have training knowledge, you have consultancy knowledge, you have accounting, so much inside you. Like what I tell people, if you have something in your brain that can help people, that can bring value to people, even if they can't pay you right now, don't worry about it. Just do it for them first, because when the good times comes again, guess who they remember? Guess who they will call first? Guess who they will work with first? And that's what I'm talking about. There are people that I know that are, for example, they're very talented at digital marketing, very, very good at it, right? But they wouldn't work unless they get paid. I'm like, that is dumb, because businesses right now, they're trying to conserve. They're not going to spend money on aggressive marketing. So why don't you help them for free? Maybe doing live videos, helping them move, let's say, an education institution like a tuition center, move them online to Zoom for free.
Yeah.
When the good time comes, first person they're gonna call to do social media marketing is gonna be you. And that's what I'm telling people. Like, if you have a knowledge, if you have a value that you can give, even if you are like if you're not doing anything related to business, even if you're doing something like relationship counseling, I don't know if you know, relationship counseling business is actually doing pretty well right now online because people are stuck at home and they're arguing with their wives and their husbands, and they're doing this, and it's a Zoom counseling, which is insane. And it's really, really good. I also know that people are doing very well in many types of counseling and many types of consulting, which I think it's there are opportunities, right? It's that you need to open up your eyes and consistently seek problems, because entrepreneurs get paid only when we give a solution to a problem, right?
Yep.
So like, instead of sitting around not doing anything, I think the best thing that anyone can do is just look at what are the problems that you're suffering, or the problems that the people around you are suffering, and then figure out how to solve it. You don't have to be the end solution. You can be the person that connect to the solution. You can be the middleman, right? And you can still do really, really well. Right now I see a lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses that they don't do delivery. Now they're jumping on the delivery. There are farmers, like local farmers that don't do delivery. They always sell it to a distributor or a wholesaler. Now they're doing direct to consumer now. And I think it's amazing to see trends happening. I think, earlier, one of the questions I asked you was 6 to 8 months from now, if you have a crystal ball, what would you say? What will you see? And I think the way people do business many months from now is going to be so different. I think trainers are going to get a lot more comfortable doing live virtual events.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, Jack, like 4 years ago, I remember when I was doing internet marketing, I was, doing webinars. Most people don't do live events in the internet marketing world. Most people just do webinars. Even the personal development world, many of them do purely webinars, and those people don't do live events, like in offline live events. So when people get used to something, and then when people follow along, the whole entire trend will change, right? So now, before we end this podcast, like, Jack, I just want, maybe you have any last words for the audience that I have. The majority of my audiences are maybe aspiring entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs that are doing about 1-2 million revenue per year. What would you say to them? What do you think they can do right now to remain productive, to maybe create more output, or maybe what they can do right now to create more wealth for themselves?
Multiple angles we can look at, but if there's only one thing I have to say, is to be creative. is to be creative and yet has to continue connecting with the existing customers.
Right.
I have to be creative. Because this word, although it's very hard to like describe what creative means, like it's like thinking of the usual way of doing businesses may no longer be the case. So what else can I do during this time when I cannot go out and get businesses? The only thing I can do perhaps is just to leverage technology. Is it really technology? Or the next thing that I actually like talk about on my social media 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, like many people are talking about going from offline to online. Like literally every single one talk about online. I asked myself this question. Till now, I still don't have the answer, but it's actually a good question to ask. If it's not offline, if it's not online, what else can that be? What is the next thing after online?
What is the next thing after online?
After online,
if you think
because
about
it's online, offline, like there should be something. But what is that thing? I don't know yet. But I've started actually exploring and thinking about it. What is that? After online, what is the next? What is the next thing?
Right. And the world is changing so quick.
Yeah.
We never know. We're ready. And 5G is coming. It's insane. Well, Jack, I would like to thank you for coming on here and sharing so much amazing content and so much amazing value. How can they find out more about you? How can they get to know you? And how can they connect with you?
Well, 2 ways to connect with me. One, I have a website, jackhm1.com. That's the place that I have my website. The other one is my social media, Jack HM Wong Official. So that is my Facebook page. Feel free to connect with me and just see what I do on my Facebook, because my Facebook has tons of things.
Yeah, so just model after him and you'll be fine.
You can. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, Jack, thank you so much for coming on here. I hope you guys get a lot of value from Jack. Make sure you follow Jack. Make sure you check out his content, check out his website. He's what I call earlier on before I started this podcast, he's a treasury of information. If you can find a way to meet up with him or pick his brain, it will be worth it. All right.
Thank you, Desmond.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you very much. Thank you.